You may remember that during the presidential campaign, Donald Trump had a number of ambitious goals, like bringing back coal jobs and launching Hillary at the moon. But perhaps his most grandiose goal was this.
If you're a deal person, right, the ultimate deal is that deal. Israel, Palestine, if you're going to make it, that probably is the hardest deal there is to make. If I'm going to be president, I'd rather be in a position, because I will try the best I can, and I'm a very good deal maker, believe me, to try and solve that puzzle. You're not going to solve it if you're going to be on one side or another. Everyone understands that.
Now, first of all, props to Trump for thinking that the ultimate deal is peace in the Middle East and not the number 4 at McDonald's. That's a step up. I like that. And also, I'm impressed at how confident he was. I bet in his head he was just thinking, all I gotta do is have Michael Cohen pay the Palestinians $130,000, and then poof, problem solved. No problem, folks. And to be honest, this is one of those issues where part of me was willing to give Trump a chance. I mean, Israel and Palestine have been fighting for 70 years, right? In my head, I was like, what's the worst thing Trump could do? Well, today, he answered that question.
The Trump administration upending decades of established American policy, officially moving the U.S. Embassy in Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem.
That added fuel to the fire of weeks of Palestinian protests along the Gaza border. More than 50 Palestinians killed by the Israeli military, more than 2,000 injured.
Now, I don't care who you are. I think we can all agree this was a horrible loss of life that sadly anyone could have predicted. The Israelis and the Palestinians both claim Jerusalem as their capital. So America moving its embassy to Jerusalem before even holding peace talks was bound to be a provocative move. And there was a moment where Trump considered not doing it, but not out of concern for the human cost.
They said, sir, we're building an embassy in Jerusalem, sir. I said, how much? Something other presidents don't ask, but that's okay. They said, I kid you not, they said, sir, $1 billion. I said, $1 billion? You know what $1 billion is? So I called David. I'd stopped signing, by the way. I had Donald, D-O-N-A-L-D, and then it was like dead. And then, all of a sudden, I stopped, never got to the T. And I started putting X's because I was afraid that somebody could say it was my signature.
I love that Trump tried Xing out his signature like he was voiding a check. As if somebody was going to take the executive order out of the White House trash and fill out the rest of his name. Like some kid is going to use it as his fake ID. Just like, sorry, buddy, you got to be 21. That's no way to talk to the President of the United States. I'm so sorry, Mr. President. I didn't see your signature. Right this way. So Trump was against it, but then once the president figured out a low-cost way to destabilize the Middle East, he went ahead and moved the embassy. And as angry as the Palestinians are, to many Israelis, Trump is a hero.
The Israeli people also celebrating the occasion. Pro-Trump signs, a signal of President Trump's growing popularity in the country.
The mayor of Jerusalem has put up an image of the old wall, and it actually shows an animated U.S. flag and Israeli flags.
The large soccer club is changing its name to honor the president. The Beitar Jerusalem Football Club will now be known as Beitar Trump Jerusalem.
That's right. Trump has gotten so popular that they're naming an Israeli soccer team after him, which is perfect, because a lot of people don't know this, but that team only won their league because James Comey stepped in and tripped a player on the opposing team. Yeah. Everyone was confused. They were like, what is James Comey doing here? They're like, I don't know. Trevor needed him for the joke. And here's the thing. If Trump wants to take Israel's side, that's his prerogative. But at least be honest about it, right? Instead of stoking the flames at the same time, you're saying this.
Our greatest hope is for peace. The United States remains fully committed to facilitating a lasting peace agreement.
If you're Palestinian, you probably think that statement is absolute bullshit. And I can understand why. Because essentially, although America says it's the referee, it's basically just shown up to game 2 in a Cavs jersey. It's like, yeah, I'm going to be totally fair, right, LeBron? Wink, wink. Our first brandishing buddy comes to us from Southern California in a misunderstanding brought to you by Mentos.
An off-duty officer in Southern California is caught on camera pulling his gun on a convenience store customer who he mistakenly thought was stealing. This was all over a pack of Mentos that the customer had already paid for. The man says he tried to explain that he'd paid, but the officer didn't believe him until the convenience store actually had to say he paid for it.
Wow. This cop pulled a gun on a guy because he thought he was stealing Mentos. Now, here's my thing. Even if he was stealing them, that's not a reason to pull your gun. Like, maybe if the guy was stealing Mentos and Diet Coke, then yeah, that's a potential bomb threat. I get it. We know what you can do with that stuff. Yeah, that's dangerous. But not for Mentos alone. I mean, if this cop pulls out his gun for Mentos, he'll pull out his gun for anything. Even when he goes home after work, he's probably like, honey, what's for dinner? Whoa, 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 open the oven nice and slow. Nice and slow. Put the meatloaf where I can see it. Now give me a kiss. No tongue, no tongue. And also, if a guy's willing to go to jail for Mentos, I think that's pretty badass. In fact, it would make a great commercial. Like, the guys would be in jail like, hey, dude, what are you in for? And be like, I blew up a mine. What are you in for? Me? I'm in for Mentos. The Fresh Maker. Now, fortunately, in that instance, no one was hurt. But if you're a groundhog who encounters a cop, your story might not end so well.
Well, some people in Maryland are upset a police officer shot a groundhog that was apparently trying to block traffic.
Yeah, video shows that animal running toward the deputy, which made the deputy think that animal was dangerous.
The sheriff's office declined to comment on camera, but sent us a statement explaining the deputy saw traffic stopped on Liberty at White Rock Road, investigated, and found the groundhog blocking traffic. Quote, he realized that it was not responding as expected for an animal that was not being cornered or trapped.
Get the out of here, man. Are you being serious? First of all, white people are calling the cops on groundhogs now? Like, what's next? Sunsets? Officer, please help. It's getting so dark everywhere. And also, this poor groundhog. He was just 2 weeks from retirement. And now, the worst thing is they shot him, and they're acting like it was his fault. Yeah, attacking his reputation. He was not responding as expected for an animal. Oh, I didn't realize there was some sort of police groundhog protocol. Like, what, is he supposed to put his hands up? He doesn't have hands! But you can tell the poor little groundhog had no idea what was going on. Like, the cop is on one side, that is on the other side. I wouldn't be shocked if the cop was giving confusing directions. Like, get out of the road! Don't move! Don't move! Get on the ground! He's like, I am on the ground! I'm a groundhog! I hog the ground! That's what I do! I hog the ground! The news is making the groundhog seem like the bad guy. Oh, he was trying to block the trap. Next, the news will be pulling up that groundhog's Facebook, finding every picture where he looks like a thug. I know how this goes. And in response to this incident, the National Association of Groundhogs just released a statement saying, if this is how humans want to play it, fine, we're bringing back 6 more weeks of winter, bitches. Well, that's all we got time for. Stay tuned for next edition of Because Cops Just Want to Use Guns. Last week, the Trump administration announced a new policy to deter illegal immigration. If any families are caught entering illegally from Mexico, Border Patrol will take the children away from their parents indefinitely, which is a horrible proposal and a great plot for the Mexican reboot of Taken. Just be like, I have a particular set of skills. I will find you and I will kill you. But first I need you to approve my visa. Then I'm coming for you, man. But over the weekend, Trump's chief of staff and Caucasian Grinch, John Kelly, went on NPR and immigration policy came up, and this is what he had to say.
Let me step back and tell you that the vast majority of the people that move illegally into the United States are not bad people. They're not criminals. They're not MS-13.
Wow. Now, I'm not going to lie. It's nice to hear someone in the administration, especially Trump's top guy, say Mexicans aren't all criminals. But any compliment that weak is always a little suspicious. You know, if a parents-teacher conference started that way, you'd know that something crappy was coming. The teacher was like, now let's step back for a second. Your son Timmy isn't in MS-13. However. So look, if John Kelly stopped there, that would have been fine. I could go home early, but you've all seen the show and you know how this works, so let's hear the rest.
They're not criminals, they're not MS-13. But they're also not people that would easily assimilate into the United States. They're overwhelmingly rural people. In the countries they come from, 4th, 5th, 6th grade educations are kind of the norm. They're coming here for a reason, and I sympathize with the reason. But the laws are the laws.
Okay. So they're not bad people. They're just not the right people. Right? I mean, don't get me wrong, overwhelmingly rural is fine as a title for a Kenny Chesney album, but not as criteria for immigrants. And it's weird to me. Here's the thing. It's weird to me that Kelly starts out talking about the law, and then he's suddenly talking about the people. Because here's the thing. If the laws are the laws, it shouldn't matter whether the people breaking them are overwhelmingly rural or not. Right? Kelly's showing his hand here. It's basically like telling someone that they're not invited to your party because you know they wouldn't enjoy it. And then after that, immediately saying, it's really more for people who don't smell that way. You gave away your game. But look, anti-immigration rhetoric is nothing new. Right? If you know anything about the story of America, this is it. The story of America is immigrants coming to a new land, and then once they arrive, trying to stop more immigrants from coming to that same land, which is crazy. It would be like if the Ant-Man joined the Avengers, and then he was like, guys, I think it's enough now. I think it's enough. Yeah, I think we've got enough Avengers, am I right? Yeah, we just needed an ant. Now we have an ant. We're good. We're good. No more Avengers. No more. What about your wasp friend? Okay, my wasp can come in. My wasp can come in. But then that's it. No more Avengers. Yeah, I need something to ride. Come on now. America has always had these attitudes about immigrants. 100-odd years ago, the Irish showed up in America unexpectedly like a U2 album on your iPhone. And back then, America started freaking out. People put up signs that said, no Irish. They even drew cartoons depicting the Irish as apes. Yeah, which is disgusting for 2 reasons. 1, because it's offensive to Irish people, and 2, because it's just lazy. You can't take the thing you call black people and use it on the Irish. That's racist appropriation. That's just lazy. And it wasn't just the Irish. In America's history, all sorts of foreigners were said to be destroying the country. Chinese people, Russians, Germans, Italians, and the lines were the same. They're bringing crime, they're bringing rapists. In fact, back in the day, Americans thought of Italy as the shithole country. Which, look, I understand. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been there, but I've been, and the streets are flooded, the buildings are falling apart. I felt like I was on a UNICEF tour. I was like, come on, man. But the truth is, though, Italian Americans, just like other groups that came here, they did assimilate. Every group can assimilate. They learned skills, they made Rocky, they became valued members of society. And are there bad apples? Of course there are bad apples, but that doesn't mean we should label all of them. We don't have to label all of them. The point is, even uneducated immigrants can make America great. And you know what? Here's a great example. An Italian day laborer named John DeMarco. He lived in America for 47 years without becoming a citizen. He was illiterate and he spoke no English. But his great-grandson went on to become a top Marine Corps general and then even became the White House Chief of Staff. So you see, folks, if it weren't for immigration, there would be no John Kelly. And without John Kelly, the White House would be in chaos. I've just unproved my point. Yesterday, we talked about how President Trump's personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, was secretly receiving huge payments for a number of corporations, right? A story that was first uncovered by Michael Avenatti, Stormy Daniels' lawyer, who, just by the way, looks exactly like what a lawyer in a porno looks like. Just seems like he'd be in that scene and be like, Your Honor, if it pleases the court, then I'll keep on going. Oh, yeah. Yeah. But now we're learning that some of those payments were even bigger than first reported.
A source told CNBC that AT&T paid Cohen now up to $600,000 as part of a consulting contract to get insight into President Trump.
Pharmaceutical giant Novartis paying him more than $1 million over the span of a year.
All of the money that we have just been talking about was paid to a bank account that Cohen created in 2016 to pay off Stormy Daniels.
That's right. Corporations paid millions of dollars into the same shell company that Cohen then used to pay off Stormy Daniels. And right now, I can't believe that an affair with a porn star is the least scandalous part of this story. And when you think about it, if AT&T put money into the same account that Cohen then paid Stormy Daniels from, then in a way, some of AT&T's money was used to pay off Stormy Daniels. And I'm an AT&T customer, which means I paid off Stormy Daniels. She better not tell any of my secrets. Although now when I look at my AT&T phone bill, I finally understand what Stormy hush payment was for. I thought it was like a hurricane thing or something. Now it makes sense. It makes sense. Now the big question here is, why would multi-billion-dollar corporations give so much money to Never Call Saul over here? Because it turns out it's because of what he promised.
Cohen approached a pharmaceutical company called Novartis and landed a one-year deal with them, promising them access to the White House on things related to health care policy.
Cohen pitched potential clients on his close association with Trump, noting that he still was the president's lawyer. He showed photos of himself with Trump and mentioned how frequently they spoke, even asking people to share news articles describing him as the president's fixer. I'm crushing it, he said, according to an associate who spoke to him in the summer of 2017.
I'm crushing it. Yeah, he's explicitly bragging about selling access to the president. Like, this guy's not just a swamp creature, he's literally selling swamp tours. That's what he's doing. And it's more than just a little suspicious that all of these companies desperately wanted something from Trump. Drug companies were on edge because Trump had said that he would clamp down on their pricing. Korea Aerospace Industries was bidding for a $16 billion contract with the U.S. Air Force. And as for AT&T, Trump had been publicly threatening to block its $80 billion merger with Time Warner. So for all of these companies, it made sense to pay Michael Cohen. Like, if you want access to the president, who else are you going to pay? Eric? He can't get you access to Trump. Yeah. In fact, Eric was probably one of Cohen's biggest clients. He was like, hey, Michael, it's Eric. I'll give you $100,000 for my dad's phone number, please. Like, just give me the last 4 digits. I'll guess the other 3. Come on, man. Now, the questions people are going to be asking are, is Trump in on this, or was Michael Cohen running a solo side hustle? We don't know. But for now, it looks like there's a possibility that these corporations may have been conned.
Novartis said, we wanted him to advise us on health care. We had one meeting with him. And, oh, by the way, after that meeting, we decided that he wasn't of any use to us. But because of the nature of our contract, we then had to continue paying him $100,000 a month until the contract was over.
No, it's amazing.
I'm actually shocked that these major corporations got tricked by the classic Nigerian prince scam. Because if Michael Cohen had pitched them in an African accent, they would have seen this coming from a mile away. Just think about it. Hello, my dear friend. My name is Michael Cohen. I write to you with a blessed opportunity, huh? My friend Donald Trump is soon to be president. And if you permit me my desire to send me $1.2 million, I promise to make you very, very rich, huh? Every day in the news, we find out a new sordid detail about something that happened inside the White House. Like when Ben Carson bought a $90,000 beanbag chair, or when Mike Pence stood next to a painting of Dolly Madison without his wife present. And the only reason we know about these stories is that the Trump White House has been plagued by incessant leaks. And judging by his tweets, the president has had enough.
President Trump on Twitter, quote, "The so-called leaks coming out of the White House are a massive over-exaggeration put out by the fake news media in order to make us look as bad as possible. With that being said, leakers are traitors and cowards, and we will find out who they are."
So if I understand this correctly, Trump says there is no problem, and the people responsible for that problem, he will personally disembowel. Is that what that means? Yeah? You can't say there's no problem and also that you're solving the problem. Everything works perfectly down there. Then why are you popping Viagra? I just like the taste. Minty. Now, President Trump is particularly mad about this latest leak because, amazingly, it's made the White House look even worse than usual.
A crude joke that turned out to be no laughing matter. White House aide Kelly Sadler set off a firestorm with an insensitive remark about Senator John McCain.
Sadler was in a White House meeting last week when John McCain's opposition to CIA nominee Gina Haspel came up. According to a White House source, Sadler joked about the 81-year-old senator who is battling brain cancer. Quote, "It doesn't matter. He's dying anyway." Colleagues leaked her comments to reporters.
Wow. Who cares what John McCain thinks? He's dying anyway. Joking or not, you've got to admit that's in pretty poor taste. And this wasn't an isolated incident. You have to understand, Trump and McCain have had beef for years now. During the campaign, McCain said that Trump was firing up the crazies. So Trump fired back by dissing McCain for having been a prisoner of war. Then when Trump became president, McCain killed his health care plan. And then, even from the hospital, McCain attacked Trump's CIA nominee and said that Trump wasn't invited to his funeral, which you have to admit is the highest level of diss possible. To uninvite someone to something that you're technically not even really going to be at. I'm not going to be there, but I don't want you there anyway. And now, like, personally, I would want Trump at my funeral because I know that he'd hate being at an event that wasn't about him. You know, he'd be like, "I can be in a hole too, folks. I was also dead. They said I was dead, folks. 270 electoral college votes, but I got them, folks. I got them. I came back." So McCain and Trump hate each other, which is why when the story came out, the White House cared less about McCain's feelings and more about the fact that the story was leaked in the first place. So Sarah Huckabee Sanders held an emergency meeting to stop everyone from leaking. And guess how we know about this meeting?
Funny thing, over the weekend, there was this meeting on Friday. Sarah Sanders, press secretary, has a meeting, starts the meeting saying, "I know somebody's going to leak this," then goes on to condemn people for leaking that comment that press aide made about John McCain. And within hours, it's leaked by a group of people that included several leakers.
So now, the leakers are leaking leaks about a meeting about what leaked. You know what this is like? This is like in a relationship when you're having an argument about how much you argue. Why do we always have to argue? We don't argue. Yes, we do. No, we don't. And part of me feels bad for the White House. Because if you can't even tell people to stop leaking without them immediately leaking it, you're screwed. Now, the White House may be focused on their leaking problem, but the rest of Washington only has one thing on its mind.
Why not just apologize so America doesn't think that that is an acceptable way of speaking inside this White House?
Why hasn't someone just said, "You know what, we're sorry"?
If it were me, I would apologize.
I just wish somebody from the White House would tell the country that was inappropriate.
It has been 5 days now since White House aide Kelly Sadler made that morbid and awful remark about Senator John McCain's failing health, and still the White House refuses to apologize.
Wow. Day 5 and still no apology. Oh, they make it sound like the White House is holding the apology hostage. That's what it's. Day 5, no sign of the apology yet. It feels like if this goes on for long enough, Quincy Jones is going to have to make one of those tribute songs to help get the apology out, you know? It's like, "Apology, we miss you. We want to set you free." Be like, "Apology, I need you now. Apology." I love those songs. It's true. If the White House had just apologized, this story would be dead, and they wouldn't have to worry about it. And they don't even have to mean it. Like, they could just be like, "Hey, we regret that this joke was made, and the aide has now been reassigned. Move over there. They've been reassigned. There, it's done." But instead of apologizing, they're digging in their heels.
We've heard a lot about White House aide Kelly Sadler and her comments about Senator McCain. Does she still have a job?
I'm not going to comment on an internal staff meeting.
Following up on that question about Kelly Sadler's comment, does the White House not think that you need to condemn these remarks or comment?
Again, I'm not going to validate a leak one way or the other out of an internal staff meeting.
You know, I understand what's happening here. In Trump's world, if you apologize, you're admitting that it happened. And for Trump, that's a sign of weakness. But here's the thing. Just because it wasn't meant to get out, doesn't mean you can expect everyone to act like it didn't happen. That's not how this works. Like, imagine if someone tried this technique in court. Be like, defendant, how do you plead? I plead that y'all were not supposed to know nothing about my drug dealing, so I'm not gonna validate that with a response. Yeah, you're getting life.